Good day, everybody. It is Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoy this video, you guys should subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, and follow me over on social media. So today we are going to be talking about Qrow, because Qrow has stirred up a little bit of drama or something, and so I don't want to get into like all of like the little moments, but obviously you have the Iron Crow hug and you have this scene with Clover, and then online it's sort of like the RWBY Twitter account is teasing about it, like the official RWBY Twitter account, Kim Newman, and I'll put the tweets up somewhere here, like she's been teasing about it, like making the scene as gay as possible and Qrow having boyfriends, and some people are not happy, and I want to expose these people and yell at them because I'm not happy with you, okay? And so here's what I see as the problem, right? People are like, I don't mind gay characters, I just wish that, you know, they would make new characters instead of turning the old ones that were straight gay, and I was just like...
When Ilya was announced, you didn't like her much either.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, they have made new gay characters, and you guys haven't liked those either, so I don't know what to do with you. And the second thing is, I don't understand. People's bar is so low for deciding if a character is straight.
Yeah.
Yang grabbed Junior's dick, so Yang must be straight. Or into guys or whatever.
Exclusively.
You know what I mean? Exclusively. Or, like, Yang, like, made that one comment about all the boys, like, you know, being in the room, like, when they were all sharing, like, the mess hall or whatever at Beacon for the sleepover. And that's the weird part to me is that she says, like, I'm sure Dad wouldn't approve of the boys, but I do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Dad still wouldn't approve of the boys, even if you were, like, a lesbian, you know what I'm saying? Like, regardless. And so I feel like, it's just a joke, guys. Like, are you guys okay? Like, why is the bar just so low for deciding whether or not someone is canonly straight for you?
It is really telling that people will, like, someone will sneeze, a woman, or, like, Yang will sneeze in the direction of a guy, and people will be, like, straight, but then, like, they need, like, graphs and screenshots and long diatribes.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Qrow is historically not like to be around people, right? Like, you know, other than the bar scene, I think in volume 4, like, have we seen him interact with a normal ass person? You know what I'm saying? And
also,
so it's
that
like
bar scene, the bar lady hit on Qrow, not the other way around.
Well, people also reference, like, the Qrow telling the short waitress skirt story or whatever, but it's sort of like Qrow hasn't, like, been around enough guys that he could be interested in for us to decide. You know what I mean? Like, if it was, say it was a hot guy hitting on him and he sort of reciprocated, that could have been a hint, like, all the way back then.
That could have been a gay bar in volume 4.
We just don't know. And so, you know, it's just sort of weird to me that people, like, the bar is on the floor. Like, if you look at somebody of the opposite sex, I guess you're straight. But then with Bumblebee, people keep needing to prove over and over again, even though now it's basically gonna happen, so suck it up, right? But when it comes to Qrow in particular, it's like, I don't understand, like, why are people so hostile to the idea of him being bisexual, right? You know what I mean? And
which is also a thing that exists. People think, like, well, he showed interest in girls, and that was the same thing with Yang and Blake. Like, they've showed interest in men. It's like, bisexuality exists.
Yeah.
Pansexual, you can like, find, like, different and alike genders sexually attractive.
And so that's what bothers me, is that you're either gay or you're straight. And because Qrow, like, showed, like, I guess, like, vague interest in women, he has to be straight. And if they're making him gay now, they're just making him gay to appeal to the shippers or to pander or whatever. When it's just, like, there hasn't really been an opportunity for Qrow to, like, show those sort of emotions. And now that he stopped drinking and stuff like that, it sort of makes sense
that he'd be more willing to, like, be romantically, or, like, show affection to, like, more people.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said true self, but you understand what I mean? It's like when you're drunk, you're in when you're drunk all the time.
When you're an alcoholic,
you know, you're in a different, you may not be the same person as when you're sober. That's what I'm trying to get at, right? But yeah, it just really bothers me, because, like, I've talked about this before, but I'm bisexual, and I get really annoyed when it seems like to the other gay people, especially, like, when it comes to the RWBY community, like, I'm not enough for them, because from the perception, like,
it's almost like you're too gay for the gay kids and too straight, you're too gay for the straight kids and too straight for the gay kids.
Yeah, and so it's sort of weird, because I think that even though we talk about girls in our videos, for me personally, it seems a bit more masked, because especially now, like, people are like, oh, Cal's dating Arnold. And that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the first thing that they think about. sort of thing. And so a lot of people are surprised. Like, I have bisexual in my bio, or I think I used to, or I have like a little LGBT flag. Like, I have something, you know what I mean? And so I feel like it's just sort of weird that like now sort of that I'm dating Arnold, the straights are ready to claim me as their own, if that makes sense. Whereas it's like,
they knocked on my door, I've been getting their letters and their emails, it's a nightmare.
you know, whereas before, like when we were doing our reactions before, like people would say like homophobic things to both of us, but now it's sort of like,
Now it's just me.
Now it's just you, and I've sort of like assimilated in a weird way. So that's like that. But then like when it comes to like gay people in the RWBY community, it's because I'm dating a guy, they're just sort of like, well, you're not gay enough to sit with us, sis. And like that's a whole other issue, and it's outside of just fandoms. But that's just sort of how I feel. And so when there's sort of this argument of like Qrow, like, oh well, Qrow is like Qrow has to be straight, or Qrow has to be gay, or like one or the other. It's just like, why can he not just be bisexual? Like, why not? I don't see a reason. And for me personally, and I guess this is getting into personal stuff, like I've never dated a girl or been in a relationship with a girl. Like I've liked,
she's tried, believe me.
Girls,
I was around
right?
for her high school
But
experiences.
It's not something that I always broadcast everywhere, you know what I mean? Like I'm not walking down the street and I'm like, damn, there's a hot girl, Hunter. You know what I mean? Like maybe me and Hunter will talk.
Normally she was like, there's a hot girl. Like you were subtle about it.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where I'm just like with Qrow, like he, you know, people are like, well, why do they have to force the sexuality in? Why do they have to broadcast it? Like, why are characters just gay? But then if you don't broadcast it enough, people get the idea that Qrow can't be bisexual. You understand what I mean? And so it's like, you really just can't win with these people, and that's what sort of annoys me, because you have this thing where it's like, oh, like, why do characters have to talk about how gay they are all the time? Why can't they just be a good character? And it's like, Qrow has already been developed to be a good character, and so there may be a reason why they're introducing his sexuality now to stop people from complaining. You know what I mean? Like, say Qrow was gay at the very beginning, like maybe people would have a different impression about his character.
Gay Uncle
but for
Qrow.
them to already like build up his sort of character and all that stuff, and now introduce it, you just can't win, because there's people being like, well, he wasn't like that before, and I'm just like, well, maybe they didn't want to start off that way, because if he did start off that way, it would be a whole different sort of argument. Does that make sense? Like, either way, there is some sort of argument going on, because people don't like it no matter what you do. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't win on either side. Like, if he started off as gay, that's like broadcasting it too much. And if they didn't broadcast it and like they didn't include it until now, then they just added it in and now it's pandering. And either way, it would be like, you know, it's just so annoying. Like, it just really, really annoys me.
Because, I mean, most people, I mean, a lot of people, like, are straight and are, like, sort of cisgender, and they don't realize that, like, I don't know, like, I don't talk about it that much. You really don't, like, you can't exist. You exist as a gay person, but walking down the street, most people aren't able to be, like, bisexual. Qrow could be that as well. Like, no character in RWBY has called themselves gay and or lesbian and or bisexual before. They just exist, and it's seen as normal. And I guess I can kind of understand that, and, like, not existing or feeling like it's a difficult thing to put a label to. Yeah. Because those labels may not really feel like they exist for you.
And that's sort of how I see Qrow. And, like, personally, that's how I'm, like, as well. Like, I just like people. I've never really thought about it, like, even as a kid, right? And so with Qrow, it's sort of one of those things where it's, like, he could... he doesn't necessarily have a preference. He just falls in love with whoever he falls in love with. Right, and he wants to be with them, but he also can't because of his semblance. Like, you know, there's all that drama.
He just wants a hug.
He just wants a hug. You know what I mean? I feel like Qrow, like, to me, Ty is bisexual, and Qrow doesn't care. Like, Qrow, and that's how I am. Like, you know, as long as I love them, I'll fall in love with them.
The whole Brandwin tribe. Like, if you're in the woods, like, it's not gay if you're a bandit tribe.
Oh my god. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Qrow.
Everyone needs to be nicer to Qrow.
When it comes to Clover, I'm actually surprised because, you know,
I get gay energy.
There are a lot of gay stereotypes.
He has none of them.
And he's the opposite.
Yeah.
He's a chat. Like, everybody's like, wow, I hate this guy. He seems like a douchebag. And so if he's gay, that's, like, a subversion, if that makes sense. Because RWBY has always tried to subvert certain things like that. And so...
Because he's jockey, but he's not a jerk.
Yeah, and so it's sort of one of those things where I'm like, that's sort of interesting. Because, you know, people are calling him a Chad, and they're saying, like, you know, all of that. So,
but, like, he's a Chad, but he's not a jerk.
He is a Chad. And so it's like, you can be gay, and you can be a jock. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You can be gay and not a catty, effeminate asshole.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, I think that's
I like
good.
that RWBY's being more, and RWBY was
and
kind
even
of...
Ironwood, like, think about Ironwood being, like, the big, tough general of the military. Like, if Iron Qrow is gonna happen, too, it's sort of like, yeah, Ironwood's gay.
And Saffron and Tara, like, they weren't, like, the stereotypical, this is the woman and this is the man.
Like, one of them
which I
bunch
hate
and
that.
one of them's
yeah, it's like,
know?
I really like that RWBY has made
and
an
even
effort
Blake,
to go
Blake
beyond
cut her
that.
hair, but Blake's not, like, butch now. And in fact, like, I would say Blake is very feminine.
Compared to Yang.
Compared to Yang, but Yang is the butch one somehow, even though Yang is
It's
more feminine
almost-
in appearance.
It's
Does that
almost,
make sense?
It's almost like these terms are entirely pointless and arbitrary, that we
like
tribe
people don't
to a
just
whole
fit in the
like diverse
stereotype.
spectrum of human behavior. Anyways,
But
that
yeah.
was our therapy session that you all got to see live on YouTube.
So, I'm not going to talk about this very much, but I have made another YouTube channel, and I was sort of thinking, like, I want to do other types of videos, and I can't really explain them, but I was thinking today, and I was like, it would be a really interesting video for me to talk about, like, how I realized that I was bisexual and stuff like this, and I feel like this video is sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say the catalyst, but it sort of makes me think of it. So if I do make that video, like, I'm going to be cross-promoting, if that makes, well, not promoting on the other one, because the other one has no subscribers, but it's like, I'm going to be sort of putting those videos, like, if I decide to make them, over, like, share them over here so you guys can see them. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm just saying. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon who support our channel. Their names will be showcased now.